Awesome. So, guys, welcome to TechnoFunda Investing Podcast, and we have today with us very special authors and big professionals in finance field who has written this amazing book called The Health and the Wealth Paradox, applying the first principles of thinking into achieving both the excellent side of health as well as wealth. So, let me introduce Mihir and Ankush in front of you, who are both amazing finance professional as well as working some crazy things on the health side. So maybe Mihir, you want to go for your brief journey introduction in your professional life, how this unfolded.
Sure. Thanks, Vivek. Pleasure to be here. So I'm Mihir. I'm a chartered accountant. I began my professional journey with Deloitte. Post that, worked with Bank of America Merrill Lynch, then with JM Financial. Along the way, I also completed my CFA and FRM. Post JM, I went to do my MBA at Oxford. This was about 2012. And post my MBA, came back to India, ran my own credit advisory firm for about 9, 10 years. Uh, Co-founded a startup called Multiply. Was fortunate enough for Multiply to grow into a user base of about 1 lakh plus people. We got acquired by ICICI Securities in 2022. Took a sabbatical after that. It was during the sabbatical that the idea behind this book was conceptualized. Although I had been living these thoughts for the last decade, but it got conceptualized then. Currently, I work with Tata Capital on the structured finance side, and investing, which is personal finance, as well as nutrition, which translates to health, have been topics of deep personal interest since a long time.
Awesome. So it is coming out of passion and your own what do you say, hobby or personal transformation game which you have been
Yeah,
playing side by side along with your
yeah,
financial.
yeah.
Awesome.
It's a game everyone has to play. कोई choice
Has
नहीं
to
है.
play. कोई choice
Uh,
नहीं है. Yes. We keep talking about compounding longevity, right? This is one of the ingredient for our own longevity to enjoy that wealth. We'll discuss more about that. But how Ankush came in picture, and Ankush, if you want to say that side of the story, like how you connected with Mihir on this topic, and how did you both co-author this book?
Perfect. So my name is Ankush Datar. I have actually been in the professional investing field for the last 10 years. So my roles have been across equity research, investor relations, and currently I'm working at Phillip Capital in the PMS and AIF team. I've been associated with Phillip Capital for the last 7 years now. So professionally, I've been in the investing business, right? Eat, breathe, drink stocks, just like both of you all over here. And keep it short, just apart from my professional life, just like Mihir, I have also been a deep follower of health and fitness for the last 14 to 15 years. So it's also my personal passion. Both are my personal passions. Of course, one is my full time profession. Now, how these things came together and how the book came together, as Mihir said during COVID. So, as Mihir mentioned, he was running his startup at the time. Uh, and during the time, it was COVID. So, I personally had a lot of time to focus on my personal writing. So, I'm also very passionate about writing on investing, health, fitness, psychology, because I feel the first principles of all these topics are very similar. And the whole point of starting the blog was just to pursue my passion with no uh, professional side or no professional angle to it, purely on a personal side. What happened is in 2021, when Mihir was actually building a startup, uh, on Twitter, I saw a tweet that there is this webinar on nutrition and investing. And I found it very curious because almost 2 years ago, I'd written this long form article on long term investing and fitness and what are the key principles and some similar topics on the line. I said, why not join the webinar? It was on a Saturday afternoon. I don't know how many people would join firstly on a Saturday afternoon and especially on this topic. Join the webinar. I feel there was some kind of similarity in what Mihir was saying and in the things that I'm writing about. So simply just commented on his tweet with my blog and we connected on Twitter. And then fast forward 2 years through actually a mutual friend of ours. we happened to meet. Uh, we decided to write a book, and it was as if the book was just waiting to be written. Because
Mm-hmm.
when we met, I remember the meeting also that we had. Within about 10 to 15 minutes, uh, all the chapters just started to flow. So it
Mm.
was just about now we have everything. Why not take a chance, write, pitch, and let's see where it goes. And here we are today on your podcast
Amazing.
discussing this.
What a journey. Like one small tweet can transform so many lives, and this book is going to transform so many people's lives as well when they read, right? So amazing. That is how serendipity and the power of all these networks work, right? It's so powerful. And I can totally resonate with your journey because even I had long time, like I was in HSBC investment banker for many years, always wanted to write a book, but very hectic schedule. COVID happened. I quit my job, and that is where I got a dedicated time to write my book as well, and then wrote a second book as well.
Right.
But it's amazing, like what a journey. So what is this paradox all about? You have written health and wealth paradox. If any one of you want to touch upon this, like why is it even a paradox? People say if you have a lot of money, you work a full life, you can afford best of the hospitals, you can best afford best of the nutrition, but then where is this paradox coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. So the paradox is that one tends to look at these sequentially. पहले
Hmm.
पैसा बना लेते, then we can afford everything that you
Ye-
mentioned, right?
yes.
But in reality, you can and you have to pursue both of these in parallels. And there are so many parallels between these two arenas that you will be amazed. Like Ankush said, the first principles are the same. So if you apply the same thoughts in both these faculties, the end result will be good health and good wealth. Right?
Hmm.
So the paradox is that we don't really realize the importance of these faculties till the
Yes.
time you encounter a negative event. Right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
why do you need to afford a hospital? Your goal should be not to land in the hospital in the first place, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So that is the paradox you are referring to.
But
Vivek,
yeah, please.
Vivek, just what you actually said in the start, there is this notion that, okay, now if I make a lot of wealth, right,
Hmm.
I will be having access to nutrition, I'll be
Yes.
having access to the best kind of resources,
Yes.
but no resources work unless you put in the work. So
Hmm.
you can have all the wealth you want. You can never buy good health. That's something where you have to put in effort. The similar way, if you're actually if you're a healthier person, you are a much more productive person. You are able to apply yourself better and possibly work towards building wealth in a more productive way. So I don't think wealth can buy good health.
Absolutely. So, but see, again, the paradox is like when we see all of you are in a good corporate journey, very high pressure journey. I'm sure even I have been into banking and I know what is the kind of pressure we all go through, right? So, for somebody who is a high performing individual, who has, every minute counts, basically for their business decision, for their job, like the opportunity cost for that in the business or in the job is so high. And especially investors also, because they need to focus, read a lot of annual reports. Sometimes health goes at a backseat. You don't realize that how much you have poured inside something and forgotten about health. So what is the trigger point? How do you know that okay, now I need to work, or something is wrong and something is deviating from the right direction? Are there any early signs where somebody can realize the path? Ankush, if you want to add on it also.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the sad part of reality for most of us is that one, health has never been a priority for anyone. We've never actually been taught this at an early age. Mihir talks about this a lot that he wants to actually teach his daughter nutrition, personal finance. That's something where I wish also my parents had
Yes.
told me.
Yes.
What generally tends to happen with everybody is also both of us. Uh, it's not that we suddenly decided to get very deep into health also. We were passionate about it. But everyone has that one trigger point where whether there's an event with your friends or family
Hmm.
that leads to you introspecting more towards your health. And it's such a funny thing that it happens to every single individual that you reach 40, 45, your health starts to deteriorate. But
Yes.
we still, as human beings, tend to assume that this is not going to happen to us.
Yes.
So we wait for that moment of that epiphany. So I can show you various data points. You'll be coming across various data points on Twitter or LinkedIn. I can tell you India is going to be the diabetes capital of the world by 2035. Half the world is going to be obese by 2035. Uh, do you think these data points are making a difference to you? You are still going to go in the evening, have that large portion of cake, which is not necessarily a bad thing, as our book explains it, which further readers can read about it. But basically, the health is so personal
Hmm.
that till something happens to you, there's a chance that you may not take any steps. So that's why it's important to build in these processes at a very early age
Hmm.
and be acquainted with things that we were never taught. Yeah,
Yes.
so maybe Mihir can add on to this.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, the part which you said about teaching my daughter, and also these things are never taught. So, investing and nutrition both are very core life skill. सबको लगना ही है. There's not a single person who will say I don't need personal finance, or I don't need to eat healthy.
Yes.
Right? But no curriculum anywhere in the world is teaching, like nothing has taught us, and there is nobody teaching the next generation about these things.
Yes.
So I think of it this way: my daughter can study anything she wants. वो engineer बनेगी, doctor बनेगी, CA बनेगी. Everyone will teach her what needs to be there. But
Yes.
nobody will teach her these two things.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, inside our TechnoFunda community, we have last month just started a program realizing this. It's called a FAST program, Financial Awareness for Smart Teens. And some of the volunteers have started building curriculum around personal finance for 11
Right.
to 19 age. But very true, I think even when I see my daughter's journey, they are taught everything, but the habit of health side and personal finance is a big, big missing piece. And as
Correct.
Charlie Munger says, it's all about incentives in the world, right? So for money, people work hard because they see an incentive that, if I have this money, I can do so, so, and so. I can go for a vacation, I can do this. But for health side, is there any incentive in terms of getting better productivity, getting better decision making power? What is that should drive the health side of the incentive? Because many times we take body for granted, and that's the again one more paradox, that something which is given to us free, we don't value it, and something which we can lose, probably money we can lose and we can rebuild a fortune, we value it much more, right? So what is the incentive people should keep it in their mind to work more around health along with the well?
Yes, unfortunately, I think so. At a very early age, so of course, we've grown up in, so as our Indian community also, it's very hyper competitive at a very early age, even including our professional circles, like Mihir and I, my professional circles. There will never be a topic about health. How healthy is that person? No one will really give you status, no one will really give you value. The value only comes from uh, where this person is working, how much wealth have they made, what is their status amongst their peers. So the big issue here, and it has to be self actualization. As you said, Charlie Munger rightly said, there is no incentive in health, right? But the most ironic thing is that this is the one single factor where if you work upon it, you can probably maximize all the other factors in
Yes.
life.
Hmm.
There is no monetary value. You will never be able to see a number to health. It's completely invisible. There's a chance that you will not. There's actually a chance that sometimes people also get intimidated with healthy people around, right? So I think it has to be self actualization. There is no incentive. But once you spend enough time, once you try to be a little healthy, you will realize how it plays out to various other parts of your own life. And that's the only way I think this solution can be brought, because human beings are very, very attached to the things that society tells them to do. And
Yes.
unfortunately, health is not been one of the things that will ever be part of, because it's not material enough.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. Awesome.
Correct.
So this question is to you, Mihir. Then how to do that? Because many professionals, they realize it sometimes, but they don't even know like how to build a routine, and then they go to various
Correct.
places and they say, okay, there is a nutrition chart which I need to
Yeah.
follow. Then I need to do these kind of exercises, and just by looking at the chart and everything, it becomes so difficult that okay, this is not possible in the my profession. So are there any specific routines or habits which are simpler enough for any professional to actually focus on and achieve their goals
Uh,
simultaneously by
right.
getting better at their health?
Yeah. Okay, so two words that you used are absolutely spot on. One is routine, the other is habit.
Hmm.
Everybody feels that you need to invest a lot of time in being healthy. जिम जाना पड़ेगा, ट्रेनर रखना पड़ेगा, फिर
Yes.
you research 10,000 articles and decide कि ये exercise better है, वो exercise
Yes.
better है. But the crux of the book also is that on the wealth side you have a plan for investing, which is debt equity gold.
Hmm.
Similarly, on your nutrition or health side, you have a plan for eating, which is carb, protein, fat. Right? And once you build your plan, what happens is your life actually gets easier. So, for example, all the meals that are made in my house are planned for the week. तो मेरे को पता है मंडे में ब्रेकफास्ट में क्या खा रहा हूँ, लंच में क्या खा रहा हूँ, डिनर में क्या खा रहा हूँ.
Wow.
So all of our grocery shopping takes place on the weekend. Right?
Perfect.
There is zero food wastage because मेरे को पता है मेरे को इतना ग्राम ये खाना है. Right?
Hmm.
Our cook is instructed कि आप ये बनाओ, ऐसे बनाओ. We don't use abstract things like आप oil कम डालो. We say आप oil 1 teaspoon डालो. So
Hmm.
everything is measured and life is actually easier. In
Hmm.
terms of exercise, my investment in exercise is hardly anything for the lack of time. Like you said, you described busy lives of professionals, and all of us are, all of us have been charged with that busy life forever.
Yeah.
But 10 to 15 minutes of exercise at home, which is just some squats, push-ups, is actually enough.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is more about what you don't do, which is, more about what kind of food you avoid
Hmm.
rather than what kind of food you eat. So what you don't do is going to help you more than what you actually do.
Awesome. So I think it's similar in investing and wealth also, right? What you don't do is very important. If you
Correct.
don't do F&O,
Correct.
if you don't do intraday trading, you
Exactly.
don't invest in companies which has leverage. So Ankush, any tips, practical tips on what not to do for your health side of the things so that you can grow in other areas also?
So, one of the most important skills which Mihir actually touched upon, the CPF, right? So, for many people, this sounds like some astrophysics. It's really not. It is a 5 to 6 month concentrated effort
Hmm.
where you learn the basics of, let's say, a protein has 4 calories, carbohydrates have 4 calories, fats have 9 calories. There's no rocket science to this. You learn this, then you slowly learn how many calories your body requires. Uh, After that, you build a plan. Once you build a plan, you realize that there are certain things which if I remove them, my life becomes very easy, right? This sounds very simplified, but it takes 3 to 4 months. But
Hmm.
it's basically a muscle memory that we build. So just to give you examples, so we are all in the professional investor community.
Yes.
We go so deep into studying companies, reading balance sheets, learning about what AI is going to do in 2028, 2030, learning various industries, trying to understand what Donald Trump is going to say tomorrow. We know all this. These are all complex topics which we try to simplify. Uh, so why not spend more time, or not more time, 3 to 4 months on this basic topic, right, where you can learn the principles and apply them for life. People get very bogged down because no, as was said by Mihir before, right, no one has taught this, but
Hmm.
it's I mean, once you learn this plan, you realize that actually, so one of the more important things also that the book says is that once you create a plan, there is no guilt. So
Hmm.
I will not be guilty when I eat a cake. So for example, I'm at Sri Lanka right now in terms of the holiday. I know exactly how many calories and everything I've eaten. I'm very clear in my head that when I come back, I have to just focus on the plan that I had made, and I can get back on track. So one of the things that I can tell you, avoid sugary food, avoid processed food. But I want to play the devil's advocate here. That you don't need to actually avoid these foods. You just need to understand the carb, protein, fat allocation, and then you can kind of create those systems and filters uh, to create a plan. I hope that answers the
Awesome.
question a
So
little
it's like
more into
To
what
detail.
give
we
you a
do.
parallel,
Yeah.
in this, if I were to talk about investing in the same sense, right? People will say, "Yaar, F&O mat karo, crypto mat karo, you'll lose your money." But करो ना 0.5% of your wealth से.
Asset allocation,
Do it.
risk
Do it.
management.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
1%
कि
thrill.
10%
Everybody
नीचे
likes
गया,
देखना.
I'll exit, so that stop loss is
हाँ,
there. Yes, got it.
and everybody likes stories ना. मैंने stock ले लिया 100x हो गया तो करो ना छोटा मोटा सट्टा. It's okay, right? But with 0.5%
There
of
is
your wealth.
actually
Got it.
There is
Got it.
actually an interesting analogy in the first chapter that a very famous financial advisor, Harsh Rungta, we would have all heard about Mr. Rungta's name. So he's a financial advisor and he is also a very big follower of nutrition, financial planning. So we had read this one article, Mad Money. He had written it for Business Standard. What he does is, so what he learned from calorie allocation and managing his entire diet, applying the same principles for his clients. What he means by that is, first he creates the asset allocation plan for 98% of the client's portfolio, 95 to 98%. After that 2%, he insists the clients to go
Hello.
into risky assets. So
Okay.
that खेलो मतलब थोड़ा वो लूज टर्म हो गया बट
Just see
कैसा
the world how
हाँ
it works with 2%.
exactly it's
Enjoy.
to maintain your sanity using that same principle here.
So that you don't touch the remaining 98% in
Yeah.
the itch of doing adventures. Awesome.
As long as it's not the other way around, the allocation.
Got it. So, one thing again very common between investing and health, I'm sure, is mindset. Mindset is everywhere, right? So, how does one cultivate such mindset? Because as you rightly said, there is a lot of gaps in terms of awareness, both health and wealth, and the mindset is there is something going wrong, or even as you rightly said, 50% of people are going to be diabetic, 50% are going to be obese. They know that I sit in front of OTT and I sit and eat unhealthy food, I'm going to get obese. But then that mindset is not there. How to cultivate the mindset and how to bridge that gap? Amir, if you want to go first this time.
Yeah.
And
So I have a very boring answer to that. That ये सब resolutions, motivation, ये सब ना internet पे बहुत अच्छा लगता है social
hmm,
media content
hmm,
पे. But
yes.
in reality, it doesn't work. It will just give you a short-term boost. So all you have to do is just make a plan and stick to it.
Hmm.
And in the book, we've written about how Ankush's dad went about it. And you will literally see pictures of a calendar, रोज करके उसको cross mark करके, it's just boring. You just got to,
Keep it simple
keep
and
going on.
consistent.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect. It's like
So
monthly
my
SIP. आप
dad
करते
was
जाओ.
yeah exactly. My dad was he is currently 67, turning 67. We actually showed pictorial charts of using the simple process that you learned,
Hmm.
the principles in the first 2 3 chapters. He was 62 years old. He had a bypass surgery, type 2 diabetic, never worked out in his entire life, uh, decided to join a gym and just follow a plan, make a calendar, start ticking off things, slowly, just like how you step up your SIP. Literally that. People sometimes it sounds like gyan, but it's literally that. He's going every month, increasing reps by one, and over 2 3 years, he can now deadlift 150 kgs. He is actually teaching people how to lift weights. He's
Wow.
building an entire community, and he did nothing. He did nothing sensational. He stuck to a plan, stuck to it for 3 to 5 years, and this is what someone who has never exercised, imagine what kind of motivation that is.
Wow.
If this person can do it, I don't think there's any reason that uh, any of us here or anyone watching this podcast should not get motivation from.
Indeed,
yeah.
indeed.
And
So
you see the
all
beauty of
about
this. We are talking about Ankush, 67-year-old dad, and on the other end, I'm talking about teaching my 9-year-old daughter these exact principles.
yes.
So this is really timeless, and it's something that is so basic that everybody should know about, but unfortunately, people don't.
Yeah, it's like compounding. Wherever you start, jago tab se savera,
Yeah,
and that
correct.
compounding works always.
Correct.
It's a law, right? It always works. So let me know about these first principles. Investing, we have so many of these first principles which are guiding light. What are these common first principles that you have talked about in the book? And if you want to share a couple of them, that would be really helpful. So
Right.
any one of you can go for this.
So, see, the first thing that I already spoke about is allocation. Debt equity, gold, or any other assets, debt equity, gold, real estate, whatever you want to allocate to. As long as you have a asset allocation, you stick to that plan, keep on rebalancing. That's the way to, plain old, boring, simple way to build wealth. Similarly, on the health side, you have a CPF plan. You eat as many number of calories as per your plan, which should be between your BMR and TE, not going into too much of the technical terms right now. And the composition of those calories should come from a specific percentage of carb, protein, fat. There's no right answer कि आपका DG allocation क्या होना चाहिए. It's very personalized to you. There's no right answer how many calories, what is the composition of calories. It's again very personalized to you. So both these principles are similar for health and wealth. If we think of it anecdotally, right, how these two areas are similar. So short term doesn't give results. If you are trading, right, you would have never heard of a rich trader. You would have always heard of a rich deep value investor, right? So your crash diets are like trading, but a quantified plan, and I don't call it a diet, I call it a lifestyle, is like deep value investing. It will show results over the long time. Again, it's like a law, it just has to work, right? You have to read balance sheets before investing. You have to read nutrition labels before you actually eat something. Right? We tend to, overestimate our psychology when we are investing. कि ठीक है 10% stock गिरा, I'll be able to hold. 50% गिरा तो अच्छा है, I can buy more. But when it actually comes to taking that decision, we are not able to do that. Similarly, we tend to overestimate the calories that we burn and we underestimate the calories that we ingest. मैंने 1 घंटा I have now run on the treadmill, so I am now allowed to have one pastry. तो ट्रेडमिल पे 300 कैलोरी बर्न किया, पेस्ट्री में 500 कैलोरी खाया, so you are in a sense exceeding by 200. Also, if you talk about compounding, like the more muscle mass that you have in your body, the more calories your body burns at rest. अभी हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं, our bodies are burning calories, right? So Ankush has more lean muscle mass than me, so Ankush is burning more than both of us, right? So that's like compound interest. आप जितना resistance training करोगे, your burning will keep on compounding, right? If you just do cardio, like just say morning walks, etc., it's like simple interest. You are burning only when you are actually burning. You don't get the after effect. So there are a lot of common things and principles like this which can be applied onto both the arenas.
Awesome, great. Ankush, you want to add any other important principles?
Yes,
Love.
yes. So just to elaborate more, since your community would also be fairly well acquainted with investing principles and maybe tracking the markets also.
Yes.
Speaking about judging a nutrition label and a balance sheet. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's say we read some news. This company won an order worth 50,000 crore. That company grew 20% revenue. This company's gross GMV has crossed 5,000 crore. As professional investors, what do? We say, let me study more. Let me go deeper into the cash flows. Let me understand the balance sheet. I will not judge it face value. Same thing, if I tell the same person, look at this biscuit, whole wheat biscuit है, अच्छा सर खा लेता हूँ, whole wheat है, no added sugar है, खा लेता हूँ. Even with nutrition labels, as you start, so I can show you two items. One is 200 calories, one is 300 calories, right? Uh, the 200 calorie item will say no added sugar, uh, fat free, etc., etc. But as you turn the back of the label, आपको ऐसा पूरा scroll of additives you will get, the chemicals. But this 300 calorie meal, which claim nothing, is a simple product where no additives are there, right? So just for this marketing gimmick, we never take financial statements at face value. The same principle you use, and with nutrition labels, there is also no rocket science.
Yeah.
Just like a financial statement, no rocket science. What you do not understand, if I do not understand something in a balance sheet, right, I'll do two things. I will either avoid this company or I'll try to dig deeper. Right? Same thing with the nutrition label. If I don't understand something, right, and I'm worried about it, why should I consume it? Or try to understand further. If you want to be a biochemist, understand everything, by all means do that. But the former process is much easier. Yeah.
Perfect. And now these days, we can just take a picture and upload on Chat GPT. It tells us a lot of things.
Correct.
That is a good part about that. And very true. I think, lot of these misleading things, I think just like for our all our SEBI registered people, we have this read all scheme related documents carefully. I think we should have
Yeah.
in the food label also. I think that is the need of the hour, it looks like. Awesome. So, what are the misconceptions? When I talk to people, I hear a lot of different things. Some say, hey, eat only protein. Some say, eat only carbs. Some say, hey, you need to do only exercise. Some people say, hey, you don't need to do any exercise. Only food control is fine. So, what is right? What is wrong? Sometimes, just like investing, somebody says momentum investing is good. Sometimes some people say deep value is good. Some people say growth investing is good. But everything has its own time, its own value, right? Everything is right in their place, wrong in their place. There are pros and cons for everything. So what are some of the misconceptions about both health and wealth, if you want to touch upon, which people should be aware about when they take these topics in their mind?
And there's one very, very common misconception in the two. And people have to realize that there is no magic pill.
Hmm.
There is not a single food product that will make you
इस दिन
super
में पैसा
healthy.
डबल हो जाए वैसा हेल्थ में
वो
भी नहीं
है ही
होता
नहीं, है ही नहीं,
है.
कभी नहीं होता है वो, right? And same way, there's no magic food.
Yes.
It's simple, it's boring, and there's no right diet plan. So,
Hmm.
for example, if somebody is following keto, now what is a keto? It's less than 5% carbs, and the balance 95% plus comes from protein and fat, right?
Hmm.
Now, is it good for you? That's a very personalized question. Can you follow it in a sustained manner? Then yes, it is good for you, right? If you can't follow it in a sustained manner, which is 99.99% of the people, then it's not good for you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's no need to follow a fad like going ultra low carb, doing a keto, or we have these fancy names like the caveman's diet or the carnivore diet. There's really no need to follow these fads. All you got to do is break it down to your first principles. कि मुझे इतना कार्ब प्रोटीन फैट खाना है अभी उसको मैं कोई भी लेबल दूं हाउ डज इट मैटर
Correct. Correct.
same way in
There's
investing
actually a very yeah
so same
yeah
way in
no no
investing
go on go on.
like you don't need to invest in a defense theme, right? You don't need to invest in a AIML theme, right? A plain simple index can give you better returns and better sleep.
Hmm. Got it.
There's actually a detailed chapter which we cover in chapter 9. It's called I can show you data to prove anything I want. I
Hmm.
can show you data to show these diets are good, these diets are bad. I can show you data to say quality investing is good, momentum is good, factor is good,
Yeah.
this is bad. It's just based on, like he said, it's a boring answer, but that's a fun chapter where we show you can twist any data to make your own point, right? But end of the day, if you are comfortable with a process that you can follow for 20 years, knowing that you will be able to beat inflation when it comes to investing, when it comes to health, knowing that your plan will be in your planned allocation of protein, carbs, fats in your caloric range, it doesn't matter what route you take, right? You have to make sure that it's providing you the desired objectives and it's allowing you to sleep. So there's no good or bad. It's what process you can continuously follow.
Perfect. So I'm sure, a lot of our listeners are so far with us, and we have been more than 30 hours into this discussion. Now, if somebody is thinking that, hey, all this is fine, understood, we need to keep it simple, keep it consistent, follow this ratio. And if they get inspired, say, hey, let's start working on my health starting tomorrow itself or today itself. What are some of the actionable things which you have covered in your book? If some of the things, if they can just start immediately after listening this podcast, and maybe they can of course order the book and get a copy to do more of it. But what are some of the like no-brainer, low-hanging fruit kind of actionable items which they can follow? Mihir, if you want to go for
Uh,
this,
uh,
let us know.
no, so, very interesting question because when we wrote the book and people first heard the name, सब लोग ने सोचा कि यार ये लोग ने बहुत abstract लिखा होगा कि they must be talking about work-life balance and बहुत ज्ञान दिया होगा. But
Hmm.
if you see the book, it's very quantitative.
Hmm.
Everything in there is through stories and through immediate steps that you can take. So,
Right.
see, naturally, what happens is we have ended up consuming more calories because we have more disposable income. We've got these apps which will deliver anything to you in 10 minutes. So, the
Yes.
first thing you can do is reduce your calories. I'm not saying eat less, I'm saying reduce your calories. So, what does that mean? You can chuck out all the liquid calories, right? If you're going out, why are you having a cocktail? Why are you having a mocktail, right? Why are you having a soft drink? That is just calories that can get avoided. Anything with sugar and that is processed is not going to give you that sense of satiation, right?
Hmm.
You will not feel full. You will just feel more hungry.
Yes.
A fruit works much better for your sweet cravings than anything else.
Hmm.
You can simply cut out the amount of oil that you are putting in your food, even at home, right? You can cut out any gimmicky food items that say, like Ankush mentioned, fat-free,
Hmm.
additive-free,
Hmm.
etc. On the exercise side, you can just start working out maybe 5-10 minutes a day. 15 squats, 10 push-ups, 15-20 second plank holds. That's it, right? And if you just do that consistently, you will definitely see results. On the investing side, if you simply give up looking at news and switching off everything and just investing in an index fund, that's like a complete no-brainer.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's simpler on the investing side than on the health side because the urge to eat is much stronger than the
Yeah.
urge to burn money, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Power of compounding actually plays out with this process. So the human mind actually, we are not built to comprehend the power of compounding.
Hmm.
Historically, this is how the human mind is built. Till we actually witness it,
Yes.
I can show you any data. I can build a chart, 5,000 rupees, 15%, uh, 50 crore हो जाएगा 30 years में. Very easy to say. But when the process actually starts, the human mind cannot comprehend it till they see result. And compounding works in such a way that you see sudden linear jumps, right? And there'll be many periods of flatness. So there's in that compounding chapter also, there's also one of the hardwired codes where through evolution, how you learn the same principle you can apply for investing your exercise routine also. We've given a couple of data points also in certain stocks. Many of the stocks that you see, for the sake of compliance, I will not name any stocks here. There's stock A and stock B. They've been listed for the last 20 years. One has been listed for 15 years. One has been listed for close to about 20 years. Each would have given close to about 5,000, 6,000% return. But the number of days or the percentage of days which were positive were in single teens. So what drove that is that you stayed invested and continued with the process, and it showed you those linear jumps. So this is how basically all
Yes.
compounding works. It's yeah.
Staying in the game and doing it consistently. But I like the lot of these simple things I think which can be avoided, right? Cold drinks, preserved foods many time, and processed food particularly.
uh,
And many times, for our kids also, I've seen another mistake with a lot of adults do is they give all these processed food and cold drink and all that, which is also having addictive substances to their kids, and probably that is
Yes.
the reason we are seeing more and more obese people as we progress as a human civilization, because now it is so
correct.
much accessible, right? And you have
Correct.
that hormones built up in such a way that they are addicted in the childhood itself, right?
Sugar is the
Yeah.
most addictive substance that you will find in children's meals.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to name any particular product, but all these so-called health drinks,
Hmm.
which will have all the vitamins listed, A to Z, सब कुछ है उसमें,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But if you look at the amount of sugar in it, you will
Yes.
realize that your child will get more nutrition than a simple banana.
Yeah.
You don't really need to give all these drinks to your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's actually the hormone you mentioned. There's actually a name to it, and there's a science to what you said. So the book also further elaborates this science. Yeah, there's various nuances. So it's dopamine. We all know what
Hmm.
dopamine is, right? There
Hmm.
are two types of dopamine. There is one dopamine which is called expensive dopamine, where so things like investing long term, working out regularly, reading, studying, these things we find it very difficult to do. But when we do them, we feel much more fulfilled. But
Yes.
still, we know we feel much more fulfilled, but it takes more hard work. That's why it's expensive. Cheap
Yes.
dopamine is things like having sugar. Actually, there have been studies showing how trading in the markets daily also leads to cheap dopamine.
Yes.
Eating sugar, that is, sugar is actually, there was a funny story in Mihir's elaboration also in chapter 3, where one of his aunts asked him, will you have sugar? And he says, I would rather, why didn't you ask me whether I would have cocaine? Right? It sounds funny, right? But these two uh, chemicals, right, each release cheap dopamine. So
Hmm.
both are addictive substances. So basically, what we need to do is try to identify the right balance of dopamine. So, for example, our kids, if we give them too much sugar or we give them too many processed foods,
Yeah.
the chemistry of the brain only changes. So if you start this at a very young age, your entire brain chemistry is going to change for the worse, and it's going to become very hard for you to make changes as you grow up because scientifically, it's your body has changed in a certain way.
Yeah. Compounding works both ways, right? So it's negative
Correct.
compounding that works and gets wired so hard that it
Yeah.
is very difficult to unwind it further. Got it. Amazing. So I think a lot of amazing insights we have covered, and yeah, we will not reveal all the secrets. Let users and listeners go through the book and go deeper and get that long-term dopamine, the good dopamine. And same way, this
Yeah.
podcast has been like a long dopamine rather than people scrolling reels. I'm sure they would have got a lot of insights. So it was amazing chatting on this topic and going deeper into the entire side of wealth and health. Now, if somebody wants to reach out to you and ask more about it, is there any project or anything which they can do so that they can get deeper insights even after reading the book? If they want to associate or connect with you, how can they do it?
I think Twitter,
I think
that's the best way
Twitter is an
to reach.
amazing place.
Superb. So you can share your Twitter handles. I'll also post it inside the description, and on this video also we'll post it. Uh, but it will be great for each of the listeners to connect with both of you, because it's like closing the loop, right? Many times we have some questions that pops up while we are reading or listening to something, and then if we get right answers to it, that is like a lifelong learning, permanent knowledge that builds in. But amazing, Ankush and Mihir, it was totally a pleasure talking with both of you. Some amazing insights, and I'm sure all the listeners would have loved it so far. It has been almost 40-45 minutes of download, which both of you have given to us. And wish you all the best for your book. And I'm sure more and more lives are going to get impacted through this book and beyond when they connect with you. Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thank you, Vivek. Pleasure being here.
Thank you, Vivek.
Superb. Thank you so much.